Because those other guys, they just kissed ass, and they didn't get it. And this guy's just like, dude, you got a cat. It just looks like a cat. And he's just like, I like you, you're hired.
Oh my god, I've never thought of it that way, and I fucking love that.
Hey guys, welcome back to the LNA podcast. I'm Eric.
And I'm Lillian.
Today we are talking Arya IV. As always with the podcast, we're going to break it down to a couple of nice, neat sections. We're going to discuss who the main character is and what they did, what actually happened in the chapter. We're going to go over who held the biggest influence on the character and why. We're going to talk about any alternative actions that the character should have taken. We're going to try to figure out how the actions in this chapter affect the other plots, and then we close out with best lines, standout appearances, and any theories that may apply, which should be quite a few, considering this is the Syrio death or non-death chapter.
Depending on who you believe.
Yeah, how much tinfoil you take every day. Okay, so first, this is an Arya POV, and Arya is the main character here. So let's go into a brief summary of what happens in this section of the book. So Arya starts with Syrio, and she's doing her dancing practice. After he kind of sneak attacks her and lies about where he hits her, he sits her down to the side, and he tells her that she needs to use her senses more rather than overthinking everything. And this kind of gives a little bit of foreshadowing to her Faceless Men arc and training later on in the series. Mr. Meryn Trant of the Kingsguard comes in and interrupts everything and tries to take Arya away to Cersei. Syrio neutralizes and or kills all 5 of the Lannister guards with him before facing Trant himself. His wooden sword is broken, and Arya runs away before we can find out how this little duel actually ends. She makes her way to the stables and debates on what her escape route from the Red Keep is going to be. The stable boy comes in there, he knows who she is, and he decides that he's going to capture her and take her to Cersei. She finds Needle on the ground with all of her other stuff, and in a little scramble, she stabs and kills the stable boy. After she does that, she starts kind of panicking, but she hears Syrio lessons in her ear, and she kind of calms down, and she finds her way back through the Red Keep to the Dragon Skull basement. While she's down there, she thinks to herself that she will kill anyone else who tries to stop her from getting back home to Winterfell. Did I leave anything out there?
Nope, pretty sure you got everything.
All right.
Our first point is who held the biggest influence over the main character in the chapter, and obviously we've identified that Arya is the main character, and so for me, I think Syrio's teachings held the biggest influence over her. All of the different sayings and mantras, the calm is still water, fierce as a wolverine, everything he teaches her, she repeats it throughout the entire chapter, and it just affects everything she does. And of course, also the lesson overall that she had prior to Meryn Trant and all of them showing up.
Yeah, I had the exact same thing, Syrio. She constantly thinks of his lessons during her escape, and those lessons were, in total, swift as a deer, quiet as a shadow, fear cuts deeper than swords, quick as a snake, calm as still water, strong as a bear, fierce as a wolverine, and, here's another one, the man who fears losing has already lost, and then fear cuts deeper than swords was a really big one that just keeps going over her head the entire time that she's going through all this stuff.
I think it goes through the rest of the books, too.
Oh yeah, she definitely calls back on him. I can't remember exactly if she calls back on him while she's in Bravos, but definitely during her escape along the King's Road.
And at Harrenhal.
Yeah, they keep popping up quite a bit. It's pretty much how she kind of calms herself and centers herself and clears her mind to make sure she's making the correct decision instead of just running in wild and sticking everybody with the pointing end.
But that's more fun.
It's less stupid.
Okay.
She does rack up quite the kill list, but, you know.
And she is 8, right, during this book? I'm pretty sure she's 8 at the beginning of the story.
She's very young, regardless. A very young girl killing people. And we'll get into the effects of that a little bit later. But right now we're going to move on to any kind of alternative actions that Arya should have taken in the chapter. And through reading it with this kind of question in mind, I don't think she does a whole lot of anything wrong as far as decision making goes. She maintains her composure throughout the entire ordeal. She thinks about her actions, she weighs risks, and then she makes the best decision. A strong indicator of this is after she kills that poor little stable boy. She thinks, all right, I can run out the front gates of the Red Keep right now. But then she's like, oh, but they're probably on the lookout for someone who looks like me. Even if I get out to the city gates, there's going to be more guards there. And then she thinks, I'm just going to run across the yard real quick so no one sees me. And then she stops and thinks, well, no, because if I start running, they're going to notice me, and then that might cause unwanted attention. So she slowly just calms herself, and while she's completely terrified doing this, just walks across the yard acting like nothing's wrong, and she's no one important, and no one really bats an eye at her. And then after that, she's able to stick to the walls, keep to the shadows, and no one ever notices her until she gets down and escapes.
Yeah, and I have the same thing, basically. She did, she made the best decisions for her situation. She did what she had to survive. And it's just really admirable that as a child, she can do that. Because I would just run.
Yeah, it really shows a high level of maturity there. To be able to, maintain her emotions like that.
I just decided I would die if there were zombies. Sorry.
Jumping topics right here, but...
Well, because I was thinking about it, I just said I would run. And that's probably what I would do, is I would run, so I would call attention to myself. So I'm not surviving anything. Yeah.
I probably wouldn't try to sneak around. I'd probably be dead a long time ago, to be honest.
Yeah, but you have guns. What am I going to do? I told you about my active shooter training at work, right?
No.
Oh my god. Okay, so they told us it's fight, flight, or I don't know, something. Basically, I got told that if I'm stuck in a corner, I should throw a lamp at the guy.
Huh.
And I was like, how the fuck is that going to save me from an active shooter? First of all, I have terrible hand-eye coordination. Second of all, we don't even have lamps, so why are you telling me to throw a lamp?
Interesting.
Okay.
When I was in college, we had to do projects on that. What kind of emergency reaction plan we would put in a place if there were active shooters or anything like that. Part of the whole Homeland Security thing. Emergency management and whatnot.
I'm so sorry that I did that right now.
Speaking of emergency management, Cersei and the Gold Cloaks really locked down the Red Keep. They did a real good job as far as emergency management goes, keeping everything on lockdown. There was a coup stage, her intel, her spy network. I mean, it kind of did itself for her, but she got the necessary information that something was about to happen. Yeah, it's a real good emergency management execution. Good job, Cersei.
Okay, so since we both agree that Arya made the best moves possible, moving on, how do the events of this chapter affect other plots? And for me, the biggest thing, and I think the most obvious, is, Arya gets away. Arya goes into hiding. And with her going into hiding, she doesn't get captured by Cersei. She isn't held hostage. She isn't killed. And it sets her up to eventually be taken by Yoren to go on King's Road, hopefully, supposedly, to go to Winterfell. And that just starts the chain of events to where she meets Jaqen and ends up on the Faceless Man arc.
Yeah, definitely. I came at a little bit of a different approach here. So, piggybacking off what you said, how she's now presumed dead and she's in hiding and no one really knows where she is, it really affects Catelyn's perspective with how she deals with King's Landing, and especially how she treats Jaime whenever she captures him later. And it kind of correlates to Robb too. Robb wants to rescue his sisters, and he thinks she's dead, so now he's like extra motivated and like really pissed off. Arya does come up every now and again with Cersei's kind of actions. She knows she has Sansa already, and then she keeps asking about like where's the other girl. So that's kind of a consistent little bug in the back of her mind. And then it even plays down to, in relation to Catelyn, to Jaime and Brienne, because they both swear oaths to look after and find and protect Catelyn's daughters, not just Sansa, but also Arya, even though no one knows where she's at, but she becomes a part of them as well. And then even as far as the Dance with Dragons, we know fake Arya is Jane Poole, but Jon doesn't know that. Stannis doesn't know that. Nobody up there knows anything about that. They just know that Arya is down there and Winterfell being married to Ramsay. And it really sets Jon off. He doesn't, explicitly do anything himself, but it really messes with his head up there, thinking that he needs to go save his favorite sibling,
The only one that actually likes him.
The other ones like him. Sansa's kind of just like meh on him right now, but Robb was buddies with them, and Bran really liked him too.
The only one who... Alright, fine. I'll drop it.
They all like Jon. Sansa was like the nicest, like sort of, oh yeah, that's my bastard brother.
Yeah, if we were doing video right now and you saw my face, it would not be good. So, fine, I'll drop it. Everybody.
Catelyn was the only one that didn't like him. Everybody else was fine with him. And Theon thought he was a shit, but But yeah, so Arya going into hiding here, I think, really just kind of finds its way, however, whatever level of importance it is, but into a lot of other people's storylines. So now we're going to move on to quotes from the chapter that really stood out to us. So my first one is on page 537. So this is when she first arrives in the stables. It says she sees Desmond's dead body. Desmond was one of the Stark guards. It says, only one though. Every Northerner is worth 10 of these southern swords, Desmond had told her. You liar, she said, kicking his body with a sudden fury. So this kind of stood out to me because we always talk about how Sansa is getting that harsh learning curve as to how the real world, the South and the real politics of everything is not like it is in the stories. And this kind of parallels that because Desmond tells her, you see the quote right there, that one Northerner is worth 10. And this is like the worst way to find out that is not fucking true at all. And it really just helps bring Arya along that same path that all that shit you've been told doesn't matter at all. It's not true. Kind of stuck out to me. What do you got?
Oh, that just made me so sad right now. Well, because I was going to start with another one, but since you're already talking about how life sucks, so when Arya's going back and she's, we learn about the story of Robb taking her and Sansa and Bran down into the crypts, and Jon, jumps out as the ghost of Winterfell, and she's like reminiscing and having these good memories. And at one point she says, everything would be better once she was home again, safe behind Winterfell's gray granite walls. And that, I really wasn't going to bring it. I was going to try not to bring it up, but with everything you just said, that makes her such a stupid little girl. But she is a little girl, so I have to give her a pass. Because life doesn't work that way. But she just saw Desmond and the fact that people are assholes and they kill the people you love and you're not fucking safe anywhere. So Winterfell doesn't equate safe.
Yeah, true. Especially with how, I guess at the time Roose Bolton was okay with Ned, and at this point he was okay with Robb.
Well, he's at the Dreadfort right now.
Yeah, I know, but like the biggest threat to the Stark has always been the Boltons. So I don't know, I can almost understand her thinking that Winterfell would be okay.
I get it to some extent, but I would hope she would learn, But
Yeah, I mean, like, the show definitely shows that. She goes home and she's immediately wary of everybody and wants to kill everybody, but we're not talking about the show.
yeah, please no.
That quote's on page 541, and I also have one, or I've identified almost that same thing, except you left out a very important part there. She says, after she remembers that memory, it makes her smile, and then it says, the stable boy was dead, she'd killed him, and if he jumped out at her, she'd kill him again. She was going home, and then everything would be better. So I took that as she has no remorse or any kind of, like, regretful feelings about killing this boy. Like, that kid wasn't older than, like, what, 11 at best?
So does that make it okay? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm asking, like, how old was that boy?
I think he's just said stable boy. I don't think we're ever
Yeah,
given.
yeah. But, like, he's not that old. Like, he's still a young kid.
Yeah, he's going to be around Arya's age, if not a couple years older. He's not described as nearly a man grown, so he's not like a teenager.
Yeah, so he's like, 10 or 11. So, like, this 8-year-old girl just kills this other 11-year-old boy, and she's just like, yeah, I'd kill him again. It's like, that's kind of fucking disturbing. A little bit. I just think it's very strange, and it should stick out, and it should, like, alert people that this 8-year-old girl has killed it. The first person she's ever killed, and she's just like, I'd do it again. And it's like, that's not normal. That shouldn't be normal. I get it, the whole do whatever you gotta do to survive. But, like, as an adult, that kind of frame of mind makes a bit more sense than an 8-year-old child saying she'll kill anybody she has to get home. And I think this really is, like, the beginning of her decline into her lust for revenge and murdering people that she perceives has done her or her family wrong. And that's not a good thing.
From your perspective, it's not a good thing.
In my opinion, it's not a good thing if an 8-year-old thinks she'll kill anybody who does her wrong. God forbid someone doesn't give her a piece of cake and she's just like, you're on my list now.
Which some fans would be completely fine with, and that's just weird.
Slay.
So another line that I have marked is from Syrio during their lesson, and he's telling her, the story about how he got his job as the first sword of Bravos, telling her about the tomcat that everybody was saying was this fantastic creature and so big and whatever else. And he's telling Arya he saw it for what it was. And he says, opening your eyes is all that is needing. The heart lies and the head plays tricks with us, but the eyes see true. Look with your eyes, hear with your ears, taste with your mouth, smell with your nose, feel with your skin. Then comes the thinking. Afterward, and in that way, knowing the truth. And I think that entire passage is it's very impactful to Arya overall, but I also think it's something, even as readers, we can take and apply in general. So it's really good advice. It's just what it is.
Yeah. I think it definitely is too. Moral of the story, or the moral of that lesson at least, is to don't bullshit people. And then you'll get that job.
Okay.
Because those other guys, they just kissed ass. And they didn't get it. And this guy's just like, dude, you got a cat. It just looks like a cat. And he's just like, I like you, you're hired.
Oh my god, I've never thought of it that way, and I fucking love that.
is the meaning supposed to be different? Where they're like,
no, that's totally what it is, but I've never looked at it I looked at it as applying it towards the future, not that Syrio didn't bullshit his resume, so he got this job.
But yeah, just don't bullshit a bullshitter. This dude, the Sea Lord was just like telling his buddies, I got this cat, watch what these motherfuckers say about it. They're like, oh wow, it's an exotic cat. Oh, look at her. She is so beautiful. And Syrio's just like, that's an ugly ass cat, dude.
What the fuck?
Like, this guy.
What is that story called? The Emperor's New Clothes? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Like that. Yeah.
Yeah, where he's walking around naked, but everyone's telling him it's like the best thing ever.
Don't remember it like that.
I thought that's what it was. Okay.
It could be. You said the title, and I was just like, yeah, I've heard that before.
You've never heard the story of the Emperor's New Clothes.
No, I just said
I'm not talking about the movie, The Emperor's New Groove. That's a Disney movie. That's totally different.
wasn't even thinking about that, but no, I said yeah, I
Oh.
had heard the story. I just don't remember about it.
Did you have any other
No,
quotes?
but yeah, I did. She's panicking in the stables, right? She's going over like I could go here, but they have spears. What if they saw me running? They're gonna come get me. And then she hears calm as still water in her head, and it really surprises her. She almost drops like all the shit she's carrying. She thinks like that someone in the room said it, but it's only her in there. And I don't know. It's very strange. Yeah, it's almost like she was like really having a panic attack almost, and then like her subconscious just like snapped to this thing that's been beaten into her head, and she like just immediately like calms herself down. I mean, it freaks her out for a second, but then she actually like, wait, what did it say again? And then she remembers calm as still water, quiet as a shadow. I didn't actually say the quote yet. Okay,
No,
so
you didn't. I was gonna say this sounds familiar, but I feel like I'm missing something.
it says, calm as still water, a small voice whispered in her ear. Arya was so startled she almost dropped her bundle. She looked around wildly, but there's no one in the stable but her, the horses, and the dead men. So yeah, that's what I mean. Like, there's no one else in the room, but she was freaking out, and then just her I don't want to call it a muscle memory because it was a thought, but something like that. And she calms herself down and she starts thinking about what she would do, and then almost immediately after it, she gets calm, and then she steps out of the stable and she walks across the yard and doesn't get caught. So it was kind of popped out to me, and that's kind of how Syrio's mantras keep coming up later on in her story. They really calm her down and help her react in the best way possible.
So something with that quote, with those lines. I remember when I was first reading the chapter, it kept bothering me. Like I was trying to imagine how she's sneaking around with this bundle of clothes that contains needle inside of it. So I'm picturing it's like not a small bundle. Like how the hell is she doing this? How is that not like drawing attention? Do peasants
Because
usually have stuff?
well, she's not dressed like a peasant, but I think the main point there is that she's just some random person, slave, bodyguard, or not bodyguard, but like some random like servant is what I was saying. Some random servant just carrying a thing across the yard, and because she's not running, like she's not drawing attention to herself at all. It's just some person walking, and they're just like, whatever, probably not that important.
Okay.
Doesn't look like anything to me.
It's just another little boy, apparently, or whatever. Okay, so for standout appearances, I think the most obvious choice is Syrio.
Lannister Guard 4.
Really?
Yeah, I thought the one that got his eye jabbed out with a wooden sword was the best.
No, it would have had to have been the one that cut the other one in half.
That fucking idiot.
Um,
Or that one dude who just gets pushed over and fucks everything up.
it's only been a couple days since I've read, and I don't remember any of that. Did that
Oh
happen?
yeah. So I got I'll detail you the thing here.
Okay.
So there's 5 Lannister guards that like walk up to him. He doesn't wait for them to make the first move. He spins and he checks his sword and like spins off the dude. The guy like lunges at him and like trips almost. So Syrio puts his foot to his back and like pushes him into his buddy. So there goes 2 down. Third guy like jumps over him, like trying to like hack wildly at him, and like Syrio just like drops to a knee and like pokes him in the eye with his sword.
Okay.
And then so he's down. So that's 1 down. There's 4 to go. 2 guys that fell got up. He kicks one dude in the face, and then like he grabs the other's helmet and blocks a dagger shot, and then smashes the dude's knee with the helmet. Last dude comes at him, hacking down with his sword, and he just moves out the way, so he chops his buddy in the shoulder. And then he stabs his sword in the guy's throat, and like he falls down and starts dying. And it all happens in like 12 seconds. Really cool. Some top-notch guards the Lannisters brought there.
He's really got some good flexibility. Because I'm just remembering now from the last time we recorded, we were talking about the fact that he was a water dancer, and Trant knew to call him that. And it was like, well, did they think he's an actual dancer? Do they know what the hell that means?
Oh yeah. That was mostly when I was talking about with Sansa. Because in the last chapter, she was just like, Arya gets to go dancing and shit.
Okay. No
And
wonder
it's
it
like,
sounds so
Sansa...
familiar, because I listened to fucking Poor Barry like 10 times.
Yeah, because Sansa's like, she gets to go dancing. Like, I don't know why she gets bruises, but
Alright.
it's like, Sansa, do you know what the fuck's actually happening here?
It's all running together at this point. It's all one fucking thing. Okay.
Sansa's pretty dumb, so...
Wow. I can't believe you said that.
About that, I mean, like, Arya comes back with bruises, and she's like, how'd you get bruises dancing? Did you fall? I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, Syrio really stands out. He kicks butt. But then he fights Meryn Trant, and he dies.
Supposedly.
Definitely. Oh, so Syrio does use the Kingsguard line. The first sword of Bravos does not run.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wait.
What?
We didn't call that out before.
No, I just saw it here. This is OC, guys. This is original stuff.
From the other times we've attempted to record this.
Yeah, right. But yeah, so Syrio hits him with his wooden stick like 4 times, and then Trant breaks his sword in half. And then Arya turns and runs. Doesn't get to show us how it actually ends. But really, I mean, like, how would Syrio not die?
We can talk about all the ways he did not die. Are you ready to go there?
Sure, let's go there. So, my first theory is that Syrio is dead. Because he gets his sword chopped in half, and, you know, water dancing in Bravos isn't, like, generally a hand-to-hand combat kind of sort of thing. And Trant's in full plate armor with a long sword. So, like, I think he just stabbed him. Seems most likely. That's what I would do. Trant's not a smart guy, so he probably, you know, would do the least amount of thinking kind of move and stab him.
You know, they describe him as such a terrible fighter. It makes me wonder, how the hell did he become a Kingsguard if he's so bad?
I remember seeing something about that the other day. Like, he was awarded it based on like his loyalties to Robert and some people. I know the Kettle Blacks are because of Cersei and Baelish, but I think maybe it was to appease Cersei. Boros Blunt is also another dude that's just like, how the fuck did you get this job?
All I know about him is that apparently he's really, really ugly.
But yeah, like Ares Oakheart, like that makes sense.
Yeah, he's young.
Balon Swan, and when he gets named later, that makes sense. Who is he?
So Mandon Moore came from...
He's a Stormlander.
Mandon Moore? I thought he came from a Vale.
Maybe. I thought for sure he was a Stormlander. So Varys considers Meryn Trant loyal to Cersei Lannister. It doesn't say how or why he is appointed to the Kingsguard. He did break 2 lances in the tourney on Joffrey's name day.
I remember reading that, and I think that's so stupid. Like, I know that is isn't that what's deciding who Sweet Robin's guard will be? Is the tourney?
Nope. And this is Joffrey's birthday.
No. But I'm saying, like, isn't that the same situation that they're doing over in the Vale right now? Is that they're having that tournament to get Sweet Robin's Falcon Knights? I think that's what he wanted to call them.
Yeah.
And to me,
they're doing a tournament to name his Kingsguard. Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me because, like, and it's pointed out in the books a couple different places. I think even Barristan is the one that says it about Rhaegar. You know, someone who's good with the tourney lance isn't necessarily good with a sword. It's 2 completely different skills. Like, why would you pick people who win in a tourney? Jousting. Like, that has nothing to do with hand-to-hand combat. Or am I stupid? Like, really? Am I missing something?
Well, he was already a Kingsguard before the joust. So he didn't get his Kingsguard spot based on his jousting skills, so I'm just talking about stuff that he did.
Okay, but what if... What? Fuck it. I'm done.
I don't know what you're trying to get at. So now we're going to move into theories. Now, the main topic for theories with this chapter is centered around Syrio Forel, and if he is alive, who he actually is, who he swapped faces with, how he convinced Ned to turn into a pigeon, or
What?
some
No, that's a
stuff. That's a different one?
That's a different one.
Okay. So, there's one here up on Reddit, and it says that Syrio Forel somehow defeats Meryn Trant unarmed while he's in full plate with a sword, and that now Syrio stole Meryn Trant's face. About Syrio Forel's a faceless man, in addition to being the first sword to Bravos, and he is now wearing Meryn Trant's face, which means that Syrio, dressed as Trant, decides that he likes being a Kingsguard, and he stays in that position. And when he's told to beat up Sansa, he does it happily, and he laughs when Sir Barristan is decloaked. So that makes sense, right?
I'm on board 100%.
No, it doesn't make any sense. Syrio Forel is not wearing Meryn Trant's face. He didn't just happen to like being a Kingsguard. He doesn't like beating up little girls. I mean, he does like beat up Arya quite a bit, but he's like teaching. He's teaching Arya, you know? Instead of just beating her up for fun, like Trant does to Sansa, or beating her up because he's ordered to. And he has no reason to laugh at Barristan for being, forcibly retired. So I think we can discredit and debunk Syrio is Trant.
I will agree with you on that. So I think we all know the majority of Syrio theories focus around him being Jaqen or a faceless man of some type. One that I came across on Reddit was that Syrio is the waif, who, as we know, is a faceless man apprentice in Bravos. We meet her.
A faceless woman.
They're all called faceless men.
Just assume her gender.
We have no time for your feminism here, sir. Okay. But
That's
so the theory is that Syrio is the waif, and kind of the supporting evidence that they use for it. They had like 3 points, and the main focal point was the fact that they train Arya with wooden weapons, and that Syrio teaches. Yes. So basically, they hit her with wooden sticks. That means they're the same person. And the waif blinds Arya, and Syrio has, Arya walk around blindfolded. I.e., Syrio is the waif.
Compelling.
Right? Okay. So my favorite one, I don't know how people come up with this stuff.
Syrio's not even a big character.
But you have to admit he has a lot to do with Arya's development and the skills that she starts with, because otherwise she would just be poking random shit. Like, do you think she'd be the kind of person to run around, like, torturing pigeons?
Well, that's what she does.
To eat them, though, to survive.
I'm just saying, Syrio is never heard from again after Arya IV, and how many chapters is she in King's Landing in her POV? She has to have at least 2 that are on the road, right? 1 in Winterfell, 1 on the road, maybe 2 in King's Landing. So this one, and then 1 previous. So Syrio Forel's in 2 chapters in book 1, and he's like super important, and he's reappearing everywhere.
I don't know.
I didn't place a whole lot of value or importance on the dude. The
Okay,
2-chapter guy.
So we know Ned has been taken. Ned's been captured.
Mm-hmm. Black cells.
Ned is in the Black Cells. Varys goes and visits Ned in the Black Cells, which is in a later chapter, and he's trying to convince Ned to confess, and that it's going to be the best thing for Sansa, and that he can go take the Black and be with his bastard. Blah, 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 blah.
Right.
So, this theory says that from that conversation, Varys then goes and finds Jaqen, works with Jaqen to convince Syrio to sacrifice himself. So they convince Syrio to take Ned's face and get killed as Ned, so that Ned can escape. I don't know how any of this works. It doesn't make any damn sense.
Yeah, it would require for Syrio to have built like this really strong relationship with Ned, which doesn't happen. But shit, that's like it, right?
Yeah, it just is ridiculous. Like, who comes up with this shit? Like,
I
I
don't know
like the
what
Ned
part.
as a pigeon or Ned as an ice theory better than this.
Like, I don't know what Jaqen has to do with it. Like,
Because Jaqen is the
Barry's
known faceless man? I don't know.
so Syrio Forel is not a faceless man. He just gets trained by Jaqen in the Black Cells to learn how to do it.
To wear someone's face till he gets killed? I don't know.
I
It's
thought you can
really
only take the
weird.
face of a person who's already dead.
I don't know. If anybody wants to see it, I put the link to it in the Citadel reread group, so you're gonna have to go join my reread group, and then you can find it. Because I don't even remember where I found it. To be honest, it wasn't Reddit. I know that.
Shameless plug. Now there was one theory that says that they use evidence that he's alive because when Joffrey takes Sansa up to the walls to see the heads on spikes, that Sansa doesn't recognize or point out Syrio Forel's head.
That's right. I
She
forgot about that one.
sees Ned's head. She sees other people from the guard. Septim Mortain is up there, but not Syrio Forel. This could actually be a big hit. However, as far as we know, Sansa has never seen Syrio Forel, has no interaction with him in the books, doesn't refer to him by name whatsoever. So it's possible that he was just another head along the wall where she was just like, that's, Stark Guard number 1, that's Stark Guard number 2, that's Septim Mortain. Don't know who that is. Oh, that's Dad. That's Stark Guard number 5. And like that was it. So Sansa was only in her mind, in her POV that we're reading from, notices the people that she has had interaction with. So if Syrio's head's up there, then she wouldn't know who he is, so it wouldn't make any sense to point out to us. So while that theory may have a little bit of traction, it also relies on Sansa recognizing who he is. Secondly, those were all Stark household men that were up on the walls. Syrio is not a Stark man. He was just some hired teacher that Ned brought in. So it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to put Syrio Forel's head up there next to the Stark Septa, Ned Stark himself, and the other Stark guards. It would kind of be like, guess which one of these do not belong? And the obvious answer would be like, well, the Braavosi head probably shouldn't be up here. It doesn't fit. So between those two ideas, I think it makes sense that Syrio's head wouldn't be up there in the first place, and if it was, Sansa wouldn't recognize it. So just because, Sansa doesn't mention his head being up there, I don't think that's enough evidence to discredit him being killed by Trant while he was unarmed.
So, I know you had brought that up before, and something I had been thinking about, and maybe stupid question because I'm not smart.
Nothing is a stupid question. Go ahead.
Okay, so I know they tar heads. When they tar the head, doesn't it lose the features? Like, how do you know it's someone's head? Because they tar it to preserve it, right?
They don't necessarily lose their features. I mean, like, it'd be hard to recognize them specifically, but like with Gregor's head, it was cleaned by beetles, right?
Yeah.
Like whenever they sent it down to Dorne, it was just a skull. But tarring, like, it would definitely, you'd have to like look closely and like know what kind of like face shape, head shape, it is. Like, I'd be able to see like my brother's head if it was tarred. I'd be like, oh fuck, that's Max. But if it was, your cousin's, I'd be like, oh, it's the head.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, that has nothing to do with anything, but I was just thinking about that.
Did they tar their heads? I didn't think so.
I know it's done in other chapters. I don't know if it is for Ned's head.
It's the fake Davos head that's tarred, right?
That one is for sure.
Yeah.
But I remember them talking about it in other chapters that they were tarred for something. I don't know. Who knows?
Oh yeah, you mentioned this before. To go along with Syrio took Ned's face so he could die, and then Ned is supposedly wearing Sirio's face, and now he's hiding in Pentos, in Illyrio's
Oh,
mansion.
that's right. Yes.
Yeah, so Ned just decided to save himself and abandon his family and his promise to Lyanna to go chill out in Pentos.
Hey, you only live once. He's got to go do something.
Which makes that theory even a bit more ridiculous to me, but, you know, call me crazy, I guess. So yeah, I think Sirio's dead, and I don't think he's coming back. I think it's important to Arya's development, especially in this chapter, in this moment, where all of her parental figures, all of her guardian figures, from Ned to Syrio to even Desmond, in a sense, that they all die.
Yeah.
And Arya starts seeing that she's left alone. And that kind of was what draws her more to Jaqen, and then creates a relationship with the Hound a little bit better. And, leads her to the House of Black and White.
That just made me sad, because I was thinking about how, when she's with Gendry, and Gendry leaves her to go with the Brotherhood, and she's like, you are my pack, and now I'm just sad for Arya right now. So everybody leaves her.
Yeah, well, she turns into a savage little murderous, brainwashed girl, so...
Okay.
But in this moment, yeah, I was just like, "Aw." And then like I said in my quotes, I'd kill that boy all over again. It's like, oh. Okay.
So what do we have coming up next?
We have Sansa chapter 4. This is where she gets forced to write that letter. And it almost... we all know it. Rob knows it. Or Catelyn knows it. As it's like, oh, Sansa was forced to write this letter. But after you read it, you're just kind of like, Sansa doesn't seem like she was forced that much. It's not the best look for Sansa. We'll get into that. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Let us know what you liked about it, what you didn't like, any kind of changes we can make. If you have a cool name for us that I might not hate, good luck.
Yeah, good luck with that. All right, thanks, guys.
I hate everything.